Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the NECA A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child, the San Diego Comic-Con Retro Cloth Super Freddy. Yes, for this year's 2014 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, NECA decided to release a retro cloth version of Super Freddy. Though not the greatest of Nightmare on Elm Street movies, it's really neat though to finally have a Super Freddy in hand. And realistically too, because he is Super Freddy and so much more bigger than the standard size Freddy, he could really accommodate and fit in with these 6-inch scale figures. I'm going to be curious to see how that's going to work when we get this figure out of packaging. Certainly, if I was to tip my virtual hat to NECA, the one thing I really like also about these retro cloth figures is this artwork that's on the side. I'm assuming this is 100% created solely for the figures themselves, but I've been really impressed with the kind of artwork that NECA is including in their packaging, especially with the Friday the 13th retro cloth figures. That artwork is phenomenal. I'd love to see that maybe as a standalone piece that you could pick up, or like trading cards or something along those lines. Down below at the very bottom, it says San Diego Comic-Con International 2014 exclusive. Of course, NECA, it says ages 17 and up, warning, choke and hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age. On the back of the package, an image of Super Freddy, though not played by Robert Englund by this point. He was a different actor playing Super Freddy. It says, faster than a bastard maniac, more powerful than a loco madman, it's Super Freddy. This comes to us from NECA again, and you can head over to www.necaonline.com, check out the pieces that they are producing. Super thrilled to finally get this in hand. It was a little longer. I was hoping to get this sooner and just never got a chance to get it. Actually, I had a friend of mine that picked this up for me, so thank you as well to him. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Retro Cloth San Diego Comic-Con 2014 Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 Super Freddy. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Oh no, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Just before we have a look at Super Freddy, there's once again the fantastic artwork of Super Freddy's, well, the back card that came with the figure. You see the poor victim, or what will be the poor victim from this horrific battle. The artist, again, like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 is a rough one for me to get through and actually watch. It's still, I find it a better movie than the new Nightmare, which to this day I still find is an unwatchable Nightmare on Elm Street. Just saying. But I love this artwork. This artwork is really cool. Putting that to the side and having a look at Super Freddy. He's really neat. He is a really neat piece. And because he is retro cloth, he is essentially a plastic framed action figure underneath. There goes his hat. With a fabric material, or a fabric costume on the outside. The end result is actually, again, a really nice amalgamation between high-end collectible that tends to go the scope of getting a material outfit and, again, an action figure. Now, they are smaller in scale. I would peg probably Freddy at maybe 7.5 inches, 8 inches tall. In fact, for a good comparison, let's just put Super Freddy's arms down here for a second and move him just to the side. Let's bring in the Comic-Con, which was also a Comic-Con exclusive, the original black and white Freddy, which still fell into the 6-inch scale line of figures. Now, Super Freddy obviously is much bigger, much bulkier, but I would say from a height perspective, Super Freddy probably stands at maybe, again, about 7 inches, almost 7.5 inches tall. I guess from a scale-wise, too, he's pretty good. He's pretty good for how big he is in the movie versus, you know, the original Freddy in that scene. Super Freddy does bulk up quite a bit between the two. I guess the only real difference is, the standout differences between the two is, of course, retro cloth Freddy will have fabric material on him, and the original black and white Freddy would just be plastic. But, you know, for how cool Super Freddy ended up being, I would still be very happy to put both of them on display side by side. And this is probably one of the fewer exceptions of where you could put a retro cloth figure with the original plastic figure, and I think they would still work well together. The original Comic-Con exclusive Freddy also came with a really neat skateboard with some slashes on the bottom. Spot's already done a review of it, and maybe I might actually eventually do a throwback on this figure. It's great figure of Freddy. Loving him in the black and white. And actually, as well, if you guys were wondering what happened to that little cardboard standee, yeah, it ended up getting really folded. And that was my argument when I initially did the review on this guy, was that the standee, because it was cardboard, I was worried that packing him, it could get bent and folded. I know he's made out of paper and in the movie and everything else, but yeah, I just kind of wish he was more a denser laminated material. But there's regular Freddy, there's Super Freddy, just again a comparison between the two. Moving him off camera, if you guys do want to see a throwback of him, definitely let me know down below. Super Freddy still holds to the black and white motif that the original Freddy has in the beginning of that scene, and Super Freddy again just gets really big and manhandles the poor comic book artist in that movie. His hat is removable, and actually the one problem with the hat though is it almost looks like the hat isn't big enough to fit his head. In fact, I thought, okay, just put a little bit of pressure on it, but it doesn't seem like it wants to actually stay on Freddy's head. So I would say, you know, that's the one issue. Maybe you might want to just kind of get him to stand and then just take the fedora and put it on top of his head. Helps also probably if you put it the right way. And just kind of, you know, leave it be and hope that he doesn't fall over. You know, get something that looks like that. Taking off the head, actually, for the hat for a second, let's actually have a look at his face. Really nice looking face of Freddy as well. The neat thing too also about the retro cloth figures is because they are working with a larger format, a larger scaled size, kind of lets them get a little more detailed with the face. You can still see all the creases and crevices, but I mean a lot of like the burned areas really show well on a larger head versus that of the smaller 6-inch scale figures. Now, because he is Super Freddy, he's got the lightning kind of slashed lightning bolt on his vest, on his sweater, and his sweater is slightly different in color as well. So instead of being dark gray, light gray, it's more like a light whitish gray, and then a light gray with that. He's still got his trademark gloved hand with the blades showing there as well. And of course, being Super Freddy also comes with a cape. And the material actually that they used for the cape as well as the sweater is a really decent material. In fact, the sweater, I'm very impressed with how it feels like a sweater that you would actually be wearing. He's got some slacks also in the monotone kind of dark gray color, and then he's got the some Freddy shoes going on down there as well. For your articulation, now even though the fact that he is still retro cloth, he still holds the same sort of articulation that you would come to expect with the 6-inch figures. So his head is on a ball joint, and I almost want to say like you want to lift the head up a little higher, you know, just to kind of clear the collar of his turtleneck sweater. But it does rotate left and right, up and down. He's got ball hinge socket shoulders, or actually they're pin hinge socket joints, so they rotate out. Forward and back, a little limited by the fact that he does have, yes, the sweater on him, but he still has the bend and rotation in the forearm and a ball joint in the hand. He doesn't appear to have any crunch in the torso, but he does have a waist swivel. And then the legs go forward, back, out. Very easily to go out, a little harder front and back. He has a bend and rotation in the knee, and also a ball jointed foot. You know, truth be told, Spot would have really loved to see a Super Freddy also released in just a plastic treatment, just because it is the same. It is essentially the same medium as the, you know, the existing plastic 6-inch Freddys that we've been getting so far. But, you know, again, this is the one exception where I feel like a retro cloth fur version of that figure can still go hand in hand with a plastic 6-inch version of Freddy. Because of how big he gets in the movie, and because he's a little beefier and bulkier, it can kind of make sense that the two of them could go hand in hand on a shelf. I am going to give Super Freddy, the San Diego Comic-Con 2014 version, I'm going to give Super Freddy a 7. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the NECA Toys San Diego Comic-Con 2014. We were having a look today at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, Super Freddy. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.